What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Derek Gansky, and you are listening to the Other Day podcast. I hope you are doing well. I am reclined on my couch watching some HBO Max, some Netflix, YouTube, all of the above, and just relaxing. This past weekend, the other day, if you will, I just got back from my last hunt of 2020 for deer season. This is not my last hunt by any means for ever, but it means that I have to wait again until October of 2021 to go sit in a deer stand with the chance of harvesting a white-tailed deer in Texas. So, kind of a recap on the year. Started hunting in October during bow season. We took a few weekends off during bow season. Certain things like weddings, parties and whatnot that we had to go to. But we ended off the year harvesting 2 deer. I shot a doe that weighed 115 pounds, which is pretty good sized deer for this year in particular, with it being so dry and how many deer we had. 115 pound doe was actually weighed more than my cull buck, which was a 7-pointer. It's kind of wonky little 7-pointer, and that deer weighed 113. So she actually weighed a little bit more than the cull buck that I shot. So a successful year all in all. We got our deer meat, which is the goal of every year, is to get at least 2 deer worth of meat that we can grind into hamburger meat and make sausage, and live off that meat for the rest of the year. So saves us a lot of money and effort just trying to do that, and it's a ton of fun. It gives us something to do, to go outside and be in nature during the year and fill feeders, upkeep on deer blinds, upkeep on deer feeders, and checking trail cameras and things like that. It's a lot of fun. So that is kind of a recap on my year for deer season. And here we are, folks. We are closing in. It is the 20th of December. We got 11 days, and in 11 days 2020 will be over. 2020 is a weird year, right? Let's do a little bit of a quick recap on the year, I guess, in what happened in my 2020. Let's see, in January and February, things were going great. Things were hitting on all cylinders. Things were moving. Friendships were popping off. Relationships were happening. And, the Lord was good to me at that point in time. But, still hated Applebee's. I always will hate Applebee's. Thankful that I hate Applebee's. But I will say that in March, everything hit the fan. We started doing puzzles. Started watching a lot of Netflix, a lot of YouTube, and just trying to figure out what we were going to do. If I was going to play guitar, if I was going to be a stand-up comic, if I was going to be an improv comic, if I was just going to be a deer hunter, if I was just going to be a podcaster. And here we are. I'm sitting on the couch watching HBO and YouTube, and I'm podcasting. So the end of 2020, here's how things changed and morphed out. We're on, what is this, episode 13 of the Other Day podcast. So 13 episodes. That means I've done 13 weeks, of podcasting, which is pretty incredible. It's kind of something to be proud of. So I'm excited about that. Thank you so much for listening. But as you know, most of the time I usually have a theme that I've been kind of thinking about. And this one I haven't really thought through. So we're going to see where it goes. We're going to see what happens and just see what thoughts come out about it. But yeah, it may be a little bit heavy, but I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you take it to heart and think about it. But one of the things that's kind of been on my mind lately is the end of something special. Now, that something special can be anything that is special to you or that is important to you. The end of something special can be, ranging from the end of a good meal that you just really thoroughly enjoyed, to the end of a good night that you really enjoyed and participated in, and that you'll probably never forget. And then it can range all the way to the depths of the meaning of life and the fact that, like, the end of a lifetime, and the death of a loved one or something. I did tell you all this was going to be heavy, but something I've just kind of been thinking about. I've been thinking about it because of the fact that we're on the end of a year that is just unprecedented. We've had quarantine, which is something that is just mind-boggling, and then a pandemic, and both of which pose their own problems and pose their own differences in 2020. So it's just interesting. I guess let me answer some of my own questions. Is like, what does the ending make you feel like of something special? What is it? How does it make you feel? What do you think about? So, I think after a night out with friends that I just have some unbelievable fun and unbelievable memory making, and I know it. I've gotten to the point now where it almost makes me sad to leave those nights and to leave those moments, because I know that they are so special, and I just try to take in every single little detail of those nights so that I can just remember them and cherish that forever. I think, what that stems from is the death of a loved one. I really struggled with the death of my grandpa my senior year of college, and it was actually during my finals week that he passed away. And just reminiscing on the times that we had together and the times that come back to me every now and then where I have a memory and I'm like, man, I miss doing that with grandpa, is some of the most fond times that I've ever had, and some of the simplest and most genuine times that you can ever have. Think about that. Think about, for me, I think the reason why it was so simple and so genuine is the relationship between a grandparent and a grandchild it has to be so genuine, because they're so far apart in wisdom. They're so far apart in reality and what you think reality is. And so that you just have to be a person in those moments. You just have to be a person that wants to love, a person that wants to laugh, a person that wants to just be present with that other person. There's nothing better, I think, than a relationship with your grandparent. And so, I will always cherish that relationship with my grandpa, and I think about him very, 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 very often, and how much that meant to me. But, I think when a good thing ends, I think that those moments of love and genuine responsibility and passion and memories and excitement and just pure emotion at that point, I really think that lives on somewhere, that lives into another dimension, whatever form it may take for you, whether it's into a godly form or whether it's into another form. I really think that it takes form somewhere else. And that's really exciting, right? Is because here we sit at the end of a really, really, really terrible year, for many reasons. Some people didn't have a really terrible year, but a really terrible year for several reasons. And here we sit thinking that how's this going to change? How's everything going to change? We're obviously impacted. So how are we going to just shift and turn all of this around in the positive direction? And, without a doubt, this sounds kind of morbid, but to look on to forever past whatever we're doing here, we have something full of love and full of passion, full of genuine emotion that we can lean on, and that we can look forward to being in company with, if you believe there's an afterlife. But, I do, and I think that emotion lives on somewhere. And I believe that, if when you pass away, you get taken into that emotion and that pure peace and pure comfort and pure fearlessness and pure joy that is those moments of just absolute fun and grace and love. And yeah, I'm sounding preachy here, but I hope you get my message as far as when a good thing ends, there's something on the other side that'll always be there. And so, no matter how crappy your 2020 was, like I did last week or last time, what are you thankful for? Because those are the things that are gonna last. That hatred and that comedic hatred, I should say, for at my Applebee's, that will live on. That'll be a memory that I have of me and my friends throwing up in the backyard because we ate chicken at Applebee's from a sleazy lady behind the bar. And it's just, it's ridiculous, the stuff that we can come up with and to comfort ourselves such as that. But it's something that lives on in us, and it's something that, is gonna continue to live on in us. And I think we gotta really just cherish it and really just continue to love it, and continue to stay in contact with it, and continue to just be with it and help it any way we can. And so, with that being said, I got a few closing thoughts for you to think about. Is just, what is a simple memory that you miss? You wish you could go back to that night, or you wish you could go back to that day that you were with that person and y'all did that thing. What is something just as simple as that you can just take yourself to when things are getting bad? And just remember how much fun you had. Maybe you can call that person and say, hey, do you remember that one night that we had so much fun doing that thing? And take that with you. Maybe that sparks a memory from them, and it really rejuvenates that memory you have in your head. But think about that night. Think about something that you did that lasted a while. Like, think about, for me, a special moment in my life that lasted for a while is right now as I sit here. It's this deer season. I was filled up with emotion this morning just knowing that I was leaving the deer stand for the last time this year, and that I wasn't going to be able to sit and harvest a deer until next year. And it's not the fact that harvesting a deer is that special. It's the fact that I know that I'm consistently going to be in touch with that portion of nature for a couple months, and I'm really going to be able to settle and be comforted by just being alone and peaceful out there in the woods, because that really is one of my favorite things. And it sounds weird to some people, but it is probably my favorite thing right now, is just to go relax out in a deer stand and just sit back and just let the thoughts just go away, and just because there's nothing else that matters out there. But going on a tangent. Anyways, think of something that lasted a while that was really special for you. So another example for me would be my football career. Playing football in high school and making it to the state championship my senior year is something that was really special to me. If I could go back to that night, to when we played the state championship, I would try to just think of all the details again and again and again, so I could remember it even more. Because there was just so much, even though we lost, there was just so much from that night that I remember, like, I should have been cherishing instead of just crying on the sideline that we lost. I should have been so happy for our team that we got to that point. And I should have just been looking around and just hugging everybody, because I know at that moment, that night was the last night that team was ever going to be all in the same room together again. And I should have taken advantage of that and really showed that to each one of the people in the room, because they all meant a lot to me. And then finally, think of somebody or something that has lasted a lifetime. I mentioned my grandpa and kind of opened up about that a little bit. And maybe what is that emotion that is going to carry on into another world or another realm or eternity or whatever. What's that look like? What's that look like to you? But yeah, feel free to answer those questions. You can reach out. I'd love to have a conversation about that with you if you want to talk about it. If not, perfectly okay. Write it down. Think on it. If you get anxious this year, this next year, maybe think on those special moments. Do they bring you joy? Do they bring you sorrow? Or do they, if they bring you joy, live in them. Go back and live in them and move forward with your progress now based on that joy and that foundation. And so heading off into the Christmas week, here we go. Thank you so much for listening. I'm going to leave you all with a Zach Bryan song. He's a really, really talented acoustic country artist that I've been listening to right now. Really awesome. Go check it out. Go check him out. He just released his EP for 2020. Go check out Zach Bryan, doing some really cool stuff there. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, folks. Those of you who have listened and given me consistent feedback, hopefully I got the thank you to you, but I really appreciate you. And I really appreciate what you do in my life and what you do in my world, just to know that somebody out there is here for me and listening to me. So thank you so much. Happy holidays. Hope this wasn't too deep, but what is a special ending feel and look like to you was kind of my theme. And so I hope you have a good holiday season, safe travels. Maybe we'll get a holiday episode out in the middle of it all, but we'll see. Happy holidays, and I'll see you next time. I'm out, folks. Thanks.